Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. We have been live for 3 hours now since 7 a.m. Mountain Time. Welcome back to the One Heart, One Earth Global Awakening event for November 2020. That's kind of a mouthful. And we are here live with Tim Sandars. Tim, I'm so happy to have you with me today for all sorts of reasons.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have so many good things to share. I'm excited to hear about this new science, but we were talking before the live, and I have to share with everybody, for those of you who were watching me live 20 minutes ago, everything went out at my house. All my power went out. And what's peculiar here is I have a community group, a membership group called the Ajatakasha community. And there's lots of great people in that group. And we meet every couple of weeks, every other week on Thursdays to talk about the planet. And of course, the election has been at the front of mind in our discussions in the last few weeks. And let's see, this would have been 3 weeks ago, I was in my community conversation, and it's a safe private group in Zoom. And I was talking about the election and my printer that I have in my room. I was reading some of the transmission I'm actually going to share with you guys here. It suddenly turned on for no reason at all and printed out a blank sheet of paper. Then about 30 minutes later, it was really weird. And we all thought it was weird and it was crazy and wild and didn't make any sense. So then about 20 minutes later, I was reading another part of this transmission. I mean, this is the life of a psychic. I mean, this is just how my life is, but this is just, I feel like I just got struck by lightning. So anyways, about 20 minutes later, my printer went off again and printed out a second blank sheet of paper. And this is when I was discussing 9/11, which we won't even get into today, but that's what happened. So here I am. I went live, and I think I screwed up the time and stuff. And so I went ahead this morning, an hour ago, and I was playing our Vision for the Planet video, which is super inspiring. And we're watching the video, and my printer goes off, and it printed a blank sheet of paper. And right after that, all of my power in the entire house went off. My live shut down, my computer shut down, everything shut down. And what's weirder is my husband and I didn't have cell service either. There was no cell service, no power, nothing for like 5 minutes. And I felt like I got struck by lightning. And I was telling my husband, I said, something has happened. Something has just happened that is major. Well, no joke. As soon as the cell service turned on, which happened right about when my power, so I was out of power for like 5 or 6 minutes. As soon as my cell phone got service, there is a news notification that Joe Biden is president-elect. At that moment, then fire trucks with sirens went by my house at the same moment.
Wow.
Like the craziest thing. The fact that we even
was like a herd of buffalo or something. Yeah.
Yes. And the fact that we're here live, and here's the thing, the timing couldn't be more perfect, Tim, because you have such a great energy. I mean, you've been on, this is like the third time you've been on, I think, but I just love you. You have such a fantastic energy, and we have so much to talk about with Omnia, because I did get my stickers, and it's unbelievable what's happened from those, by the way. So I want to share that.
Right.
But before we even talk about that, thank God you're the one who's live with me right now, because I do not feel grounded at all. I feel like something struck me.
And it's amazing to join you on the most significant day of, US politics ever.
Yes.
So, it's kind of weird, but it's wild. I mean, I was gonna ask whether those 2 sheets of paper counted in the US elections that were printed out, whether they had any watermarks on them or whatever, and all these incredible things that are happening right now. You don't know what's the truth, and who's going to make what move and all those things, but yeah, it's kind of hard to stay in your space, isn't it, with this much going on?
Yeah, and it has to be the spirits. I text some of my niece and some other people. I was like, did your power go out? And so I haven't heard anybody else's power went out, which tells me it is the spirits, and they do have that power, and I'm very telekinetic, so it doesn't surprise me that happened. But if anybody else is out of power or cell service, when you get it back, please share on here, because something has occurred. And we were talking offline about what in the heck this means. And I don't normally, so I am a little bit different from some channels. I don't share my transmissions publicly on YouTube, really. I share them in my private group. So if you guys want to join my group, and that's to protect me, it's to protect the group, and it's also to protect this platform, because we want to keep doing this. And so I think it's really important that we protect the integrity of what Buddhist Biohacker stands for, what One Heart, One Earth stands for. So I say that every once in a while I share something, and it's usually because I feel it's really important. I did not think I was going to share my November election transmission live on YouTube, but I'm going to do it right now, Tim. I'm going to share it because it's so powerful, the messaging from the collective of the Golden Ankh, which is the collective that I channel. And they were right on the damn money. I mean, I don't know, these beings that we talk to, Tim, they're like us in the future, light years in the future. It's us, and there's sixth density, and there's all this technical jargon about it. But at the end of the day, they have never let me down. It doesn't matter what I ask them about. It doesn't matter. And they can say things and you're like, what? But when you go back and you look at the transmissions, it's like, damn, if they weren't right. Because what I asked them was what was going to happen with the election. And they said it could not be read on election day. And they were right. And at the time, it was like, well, what does that even mean? And I've gotten more information, but I'm going to share this with you guys. Lord help me, I'm doing it because it's so important to the awakening. So are you ready, Tim?
I'm ready. I'm intrigued. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me, I have to plug in. Hold on. I'm going to unplug my light. Sorry, guys. It's not as pretty, but I got to do it to pull up this transmission. Okay. Here we go. So this is a channel transmission from the collective of the Golden Ankh, and it's about the election. So what I asked them, I said, dearest collective, I said, back in June, you shared with me that the election would dismantle. It's coming much closer now to the election. How will it dismantle, and who is they? Because they said it would happen before their eyes. And I was like, well, what does that even mean? This is something they talked about back in May, by the way. And so I asked this November election transmission came out in October. We had a special call about it. So here's what they said. Whew. I'm so excited and nervous to read this. So I'm telling you, Tim, I think that when I read this, there's more to it now than when I read it before. So I'm not sure what to expect, but here we go. Okay. Dear one, this is the collective. The United States presidential election in your year of 2020 will be remembered for many years to come on your planet. The dismantling of the election is still set to occur and is in fact planned for, preparations made by all sides of the political narrative. The election has become a battleground of light and dark. Each side has prepared their doomsday switch when the election does not go as they have planned. The importance of this election at this time has manifested as a crescendo of energy, inertia, created by the awakening of the planet and a call for change across old systems. The political structure of the United States is one built on a negatively polarized structure. A negatively polarized structure becomes weak over time and cannot sustain. Due to the shift of the planet's polarity to a greater positive, the political structure has begun to break apart. No matter how much the sleepy American peoples wish for the structure to remain in place, the hearts of the many starseeds, wanderers, and light workers upon the planet know it is time for change. This November, the American collective will be asked to accept that they are powerless to the dismantling of systems, and change is inevitable. Then they go on to say, I said, well, who is they? Because don't you think we all want to know that? We always ask, who the heck is they? They, again, this is the collective. They are those who have wealth and power. For generations, there have been a select group in which power flows effortlessly to them. They are surrounded by wealth, and generation after generation, they have maintained secrecy in order to isolate themselves from the whole of humanity. They do not understand the concept of hard-won success. When you live in this way, it is easy to succumb to the paranoia that rises when you fear all will be taken from you. In essence, they have lost touch with reality. They overinvested in their plan, and now the secrecy, isolation of wealth, power, and all they have known is coming apart. This will be seen on all sides of the narrative in regards to wealth and power. We have asked starseeds at this time to remain out of the narrative and to remain undistracted by the events that will unfold, to remain focused on the New Earth template, the reality that exists across the dismantling of systems and negatively polarized builds. There have been overinvestments on both sides. Remain calm, keep a laser focus on the light. Then they go on to say, what has been of utmost importance has been for the collective in power to remain in power. Every effort has now been turned towards remaining in power and ousting the positively polarized energy in order to remain wealthy. It is set in the timelines for the positively polarized candidate to win the election in November 2020 in the United States of America. It is also set that much like Marcus Aurelius gave Rome back to the people, so too will the positively polarized candidate. This is known through technologies beyond your reach. However, every effort will be made to stop this. There is no known outcome to this election. It cannot be read. The outcome will be made manifest through the alchemy of both sides of the political narrative's action taken on November 3rd, 2020. And so it is, and so it shall be. So here we are. There's been a media release of a winner, and my cards don't look like that's going to change, but I'm not a fatalist, so I think we just have to keep an eye on the energy. But I think, even reading that now, I think what's important for everybody to realize with the announcement that was made, and Lord knows I'm going to have to sit with what just happened energetically, because it's literally like God struck his hand on my house and was like, pay attention. I mean, seriously. But I think what's important is to understand that this is the dismantling of the systems. This is part of Age of Aquarius. And the collective has time and time again said to stay out of the narrative on both sides. Time and time again. They have never said one side's good, one side's bad. Follow this person, follow that. They're like, let it all go and stay in the light, because we are, in fact, the light workers that are supposed to do that. And there's this phrase out there, hold the line, a little military phrase. And I would like to say, hold the light. That's what we need to do, because we're the warriors.
Hold the love. Hold the love. So yeah, I mean, it could be one thing that might be coming through is that rather than depend on one person, it's now back to us, isn't it? It's as individuals, we can't be there depending on that one person holding, all of that hope. Actually has to come from inside us. So maybe that's the message that might come through from following Joe Biden. I'm sure there's lots of good people who are following Joe Biden. But there's lots of good people who are following the other candidate who feel a bit hard done by. Whether that's true or not, maybe time will tell. But ultimately, if you're upset about that, then it's time for you to go in and do the work yourself to pull us out of all of this density that's going to come through potentially from the new president, if he is elected like that. Because, it's like, it's a funny thing. So my parents are very much of I was having a chat with them today, and they're very much, they get all of their truths from mainstream media, right? So I'm just giving you the British perspective here.
Yeah.
They're incredibly anti-Trump for two reasons. Firstly, he's a big mouth, brash American type. and they're old school British, and they just don't, there's a complete incompatibility there. But secondly, he gets trashed by all of the British media, and there's very much like this, sort of one-upmanship, haughty kind of like, oh, we're better than Trump kind of thing. Listen to him shooting his mouth off, can't even string a sentence together. These sort of things, right? That's the way that the British media appeals and incites anti-Trump sentiment by making British people feel that they're superior to him, US, blah, 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 whatever. That's the way that it's done over here. It's subtle. It's on an intellectual basis. And everyone I know falls into that trap who is not awake, right? They all fall into that. Oh, my God, you don't like Trump. Oh, my God, that's terrible. And it's because they've been force-fed this thing from the media without realizing it. And that's, the majority of people who I would say are very asleep
in the UK. Keep talking. Sorry, more siren.
Yeah, it's the thought police. Yeah, so that's what happens. And today I woke up and I came into my parents' front room and I said, oh, well, I'm going to make a prediction, which is that there's going to be a legal battle for at least a month, maybe 2 months, and out of that, I don't think Biden's going to come out of that very well. And my mum turned around and said, well, that's bad news for the world then, isn't it? And I said, well, it depends which lens you're looking through, because, and I was quite sympathetic to her state of mind. I said, you may not think that Trump is the most likable person in the world, but we've also not had any wars over the last 4 years incited by a president. And I happen to know that Obama dropped more bombs than any other president ever. So it just goes to show, it depends on which lens you're looking through, right? And I just tried to put it out there so that people could think not in terms of personality politics, which is what everyone is sucked into. It's like, never mind the politics, look at the personality. Instead of that, think about what people are actually doing. This is a president that stood up to China and played hardball with them and said, look, the whole of America is now becoming completely dependent on China, stood up to it, did something about it, saw the immigration problem, tried to do something about that, had the whole media, get on his back and try and vilify him as a racist and a this and a that and everything else. Whereas that project was started off by Bill Clinton, I think, 15 years before or something. And so it goes on. It's like whatever he says, they'll turn it against him. And then they try and take you with them. And that is successful for the majority of people. So maybe now it's time for us who want to take positive action or be the change that we want to see in the world. Maybe it's time for us to step forward and take the reins off President Trump. I don't know. That's just my instant reaction.
Yeah, well, and it's well said. And I think, to your point, it's up to us. And that's the danger of any kind of idyllic practice, however you want to say that. We have seen gurus be accused of molestation and trafficking drugs and weapons. There's a whole issue going on with the Kundalini community and Yogi Bhajan. We've seen people that we trust fall from grace. And so it's dangerous for anyone to put their energy and effort into one person. And it is up to us. And I think, what's interesting is they say there's an incredible Akashic record read. He's actually going to be on the show in a few weeks. Andrew Bartz, who said this isn't everyone individual awakening. This isn't even though it seems like a collective awakening, it's an ascension cycle, but it's every individual's awakening. And so it's up to each individual to react to this, because it's split. If you look at the numbers as they are presented, the presentation of the numbers is that we're split in half, essentially, pretty closely in half. So whatever side you're on, I think the point is not to be on a side. The point is, it's up to us. And I think that's what I think, the media does a disservice, is that they don't present both sides so that they can create and provoke independent thought.
Oh, I mean, look, independent thought has just gone out the window. I mean, we're seeing that with COVID, right? Everyone can look
Yeah.
at a graph, and yet, the graph is telling you very clearly that there isn't a major problem, but yet everyone is just repeating what the media is telling you, and it's insane. And you look at the same thing for the run up to the presidential election. You had President Trump doing 5 gigs a day and massive crowds turning up, and then you had Biden presenting to a car park.
Mm-hmm.
A car park of people who probably were paid to be there to hoot a horn or something, and it was just like, how can that person get more votes than anyone ever in history without even doing any campaigning? It doesn't add up. And yet people are scared, actually, I think, deep down, of doing any independent thought, because any independent thought has to take them out of their comfort zone. And what's going on right now really isn't comfortable. Like, it's the big dark night of the soul for many people who don't even probably realize they have a soul. You know what I mean? They're that far behind in terms of like the catching up that they've got to do. They think that they're blood, flesh, bones, and that's really it. That's all there is to their lives, and jobs and taxes and this, that, and the other, and video games and whatever it is. It's like, so yeah, there's lots of fear on so many deep levels that stop people from thinking for themselves, from working it out. And I think that people who are in an advanced stage, like I think we would include ourselves in that equation, we're the lucky ones, really. I think we're the if you want to say the torchbearers or something like that. But ultimately, I agree that look, like everyone's got to do their own awakening, and it's going to be like a popcorn situation. But that there's as soon as the popcorn pops, if that's the analogy, then that vibration does actually spread like a ripple out to facilitate the next pop of the popcorn. And that's the way it's going. And this election, whatever happens, whatever result gets chosen, that is, the ripple effect will not be reversed. It's not like anyone that's popped will ever then unpop and go back to being asleep. That's not going to happen. So it's more up to us, and it's then more up to us individually to go out and then help other people to pop.
Yes. And that's what we're doing here. I mean, that's the work you're doing. That's the work I'm doing. That's the whole point of Buddhist Biohacker and the One Heart, One Earth. I mean, this is our November Awakening event, and the collective said to do it the 7th through the 14th. And it seems like there was a reason behind that. I mean, seriously, this is what they told me back. I think it was in August that they told me, do it November 7th through the 14th. And I thought, well, that's a really weird time frame. But here we are. And so we're all in this together. And I'll tell you what, the spirit world spoke thunderously at my house during that moment. I mean, I just cannot believe, they love to surprise me, but I'll tell you what, Tim, this is in the top 5 of things that have ever happened to me at a poignant time in my life or in the world. I mean, this is crazy that this all just went down, and it's just so important. I think it just feels like this is so important. And it's funny because I had an experience with the Arcturians on Monday night. I had this initiation experience, and I felt very certain that they were coming to shift my energy in some way because of this awakening event. I feel like this is the most critical 7 days of the next 12 years. And we are all in it together as a community. And I'm so grateful that you're here with me today, because I need to ground, I think. Oh my gosh.
Well, I hope I'm helping in some way. It's quite easy. It's a bit easier for me being detached and, not being my president, I guess. But I mean, I share everyone's fears for a Biden presidency, back to the old ways of, wars and everything else. But I won't get too much into that. But I think, look, it's the absolute minority over here in the UK that actually support Trump. But those who do are all the people who are awakened, and who are, truth seekers and love workers and all those things. So, we now also have a duty to double down and really focus on our own desires, which comes into a lot of what I do at Omnia is, that whole, conscious human intent, your own desire, setting your own compass and, where you want to be and what you want to see in the world, and being that, and then looking at how you individually can bring that through.
Yep. Perfect. It's perfectly said. And so with that, I think, part of what you do is provide resources to people to help them, to support them during this time. And I want to talk about that. So I got my Omnia stickers. This is the back cover of my phone, by the way. It's the Fool, which is so great. That was my husband's birthday present to me last year. But if I take off my cover, here's my sticker. There it is. So I have had a problem for about 18 months. And we talked about this, like where my ears vibrate. I have this like buzzing in my ear, and it's not tinnitus. It's like this weird buzzing noise. And it feels like I've heard too much, like after you went to a rock concert, but it's like all the time. So I was really excited. I got the stickers. I put them on everything. We have 4 kids. So we have 4 devices. So with 6 of us in the house at any given time, there's anywhere from 6 to 10 devices running on a Wi-Fi. I mean, this is like intense. So everything got it. We have a smart meter on our house. We put the sticker on the smart meter. I mean, we just went everywhere. I have not had my ears buzz since.
Yay! Fantastic.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I knew it was going to work, but it really, really did. And I know you have some new science and new things to share. And so you start wherever you want to, but love it.
Wow. Well, I'm so pleased. I'm really grateful, because that's why I set up this company. And then you hear testimonies like that, and it all makes it worthwhile. And that's fantastic. Yeah, look, we have, that you're not the first to say that like sort of, aches and pains or sinus trouble or little shooting pains in an arm or something like that have gone because of the change in the energy in the phone. So yeah, what Lisa just showed there is like a tiny little sticker patch. It looks a bit like this. I've got one here, but you basically, you can't really see that. But you put it on your phone, your laptop, your Wi-Fi, your router, and it has tiny units of energy. And those units of energy talk to the radiation field, and then they set that radiation field so that it's in the same rhythm and balance as all of the electrical energy in the human body, so that there's no longer that interference or that imbalance or that, dissonant harmonic effect between the radiation field and the energy field of the human body. So they're aligned. And just recently, we proved that on a level that even surprised me. So I'll just tell you briefly about that. There is a technique called autonomic response testing, which was devised by a guy called Dr. Klinghardt. And it's a combination of muscle testing, but also interrogating all of the light and energy field around the human body. So the idea is that if the light and the energy field that is coming out of the human body and also coming back into the human body, if it can be measured and can be shown to be coherent, then the body is in, healing mode, or it's in, sort of health and vitality. But if it's out of coherence or it's closed, that means that the body is going into contraction and it's stressed by something, right? So we use this technique to see whether the body is stressed or in coherence or in deep healing mode, right? And what we did was we got 2 people, and we had the same result for both people. So I'm just going to explain what happened. We tested them, and they all went into incoherent or stressed mode, and when they hold a mobile phone, right? So that happened with both the people. Now, we knew that because of the electrical challenge that I mentioned before. And then we put the orb, the Omnia patch, on the phone, and they went into coherence and open state, right? Which was fantastic. And I sort of was expecting that because of all the muscle tests that I'd done. But the really extraordinary news and we've done a video that's just about to come out on this next week, is that when you then held the phone with the orb patch next to your head, there's something about the balanced energy in the phone and all of the electrical signals in the brain, because all of your brain waves, alpha, beta, gamma, whatever, they're all invisible electrical waves. There was something about the resonance between this electrical field and this electrical field, which actually put the body into deep healing mode, right? And there are, according to autonomic response testing, there are 8 levels of deep healing, which you test via O-rings, right? You test via how strong you are between each finger, and there's 8 different variations between the fingers or something, right? So I'm just learning about this now, but myself, but I'm just, giving you the top level stuff. But basically, when the phone was next to the ear and the O-ring was tested, both people went into deep healing or yang state, which means that we've actually turned the phone into something beneficial. I can't say anything other than that, but it seemed that there was a resonant effect caused the body to go into that state. So we were super surprised, but we knew that it was we wanted to tell people that it was really beneficial, but we didn't know we could give people that kind of news. So that was it. That was my revelation from last week, and there'll be a video coming out on that soon. And the big thing that I forgot to mention was that all of those tests were done on 5G. So
wow.
Yeah. So anyone that knows what 5G is all about will know that 5G hasn't really hit us in the way that it's anticipated. Like at the moment, 5G is just a lot more 4G and a little bit of an extension from 2.4 gigahertz up to about 5 gigahertz. But they do have plans from taking it from 5 up to 24, and some people even say up to 60 gigahertz. And at that point, pretty much everyone, if they're not protected, will be feeling something. But right now, it's very low level, and there's a lot of fake news going on about, oh my God, 60 gigahertz, 5G is here already. It's kind of not. At least I don't see it anywhere. And you also need a 5G phone to transmit that kind of level of imbalanced energy. And there's very few people who have a 5G phone. I've got one, but that's because I have to test it all the time. And I'm able to turn that on to 3G if I want to, just to minimize everything. So so that's my piece of positive news for everyone. It's a pleasant surprise, put it that way.
Well, yeah, that's really amazing. And you said there's 8 levels. So how do you know how does that range work?
Trust me, this is like my second week of understanding ART. So you're putting me a bit on the spot, and we will do more interviews because the inventor of the whole modality, we're talking to him next week. So he'll be able to, and he's done some testing as well now. So we'll be able to give you a bit more feedback on that. But all I know is that in order to test what level of healing, what happens is, right, so the patient lies on the bed, and then there's a conduit, right? So there's the tester, and then the conduit, and then the patient. And the conduit touches the body of the patient, and then all of the energy of the patient is tested through the conduit, right? So the conduit puts one hand on the body and then shows the other hand to the tester, and then the tester tests the O-ring, right? And there's something about the connection between, the meridians in all of the fingers, right? And there's obviously 5 fingers, so that's 5 levels that you can go. And then there's other ones that I didn't get the full scoop on because it takes a couple of years to train as one of these types of practitioner. So that's all I know is that the practitioner turned around and said, I can't believe this. I tell everyone that I do any healing work with, always turn your phone off, always put it on speakerphone, never touch it, hardwire everything. And you've just come in and shown me that actually when you put the Omnia patch on the phone, then the body likes it. The body goes is stimulated into this deep healing mode, but to the level 8. So, I don't want to be the person that's encouraging everyone to go around and go, that's great, let's just talk all day. That's not what we're all about. We're all about safe technology and doing everything you can to make your space safe, but also really understanding why radiation affects us. And that's what we stand for at Omnia, because we have science that no one else has in terms of the way that the atom in the body has electrical current that's spinning at all times, right? Every atom, it doesn't matter whether the atom is in my computer mouse or in my body, but we always say that basically the difference between my body and the computer mouse is that I have a mind to move my body around. And also my body is an incredible divine gift of incredible complex functions, whether it's the liver or the heart or the bowel or the spleen or whatever. All of these things are in this extraordinary orchestra, all tuned into each other to make everything function, which our minds have no idea about, right? Our minds do not know how the operating system of the body operates. I don't know how my stomach digests its food. It just happens. So that's all the divine intelligence of the 0 point inside every atom at play. And as mental beings, we can interact with our bodies, decide what we're going to have for lunch and who to talk to and who to, what job to do and what music to like and all those things. But ultimately, there's two levels of intelligence going on in the body. So autonomic response testing is dialing into that deep level of knowledge in the body through the meridians and saying, what level of healing do we achieve with this? And, it could be our patch on a mobile phone, or it could be chlorella for someone that really needed that boost in their immune system that helped them get into deep healing. This is the way that ART works. It finds out what the individual needs to be in coherence, or if they're lucky, in deep healing or yang state, which is yang is like the I think it's the masculine, and it's more the repair mode in energy terms. So the short answer to that is I don't know. The longer answer is that there are eight different systems in the hand and in the meridians.
Oh, that's so cool. So you're training for this now? Are you doing the 2-year training?
I'm considering it because I've always been into this. This is like the reason why I got into Omnia is because I did a muscle test with and without the sticker. And I just went, my God, the body just goes super strong when you have the patch on the phone. And that's what everyone wants, right? And I just thought this is going to be the easiest product in the world to sell. And it wasn't.
Well,
it wasn't. It was like, I was saying to everyone, hey, look at this muscle test. Everyone's like, what? You expect me to believe that? I was like, oh, this is going to be harder than I thought. And now everyone's starting to understand that that's, it's relevant. It does mean something. And I'm not tricking people, because that's the other allegation is that, oh, you pushed harder, you didn't do this. That's your friend who's acting, all those things. But trust me, in a muscle test, 100% of people go weak in their body when they hold a phone, and 100% so far of people that I've tested then go really strong when they have the Omnia patch on. So if you want a strong body when you're holding your phone, and Lisa, you've just told her that you've had some positive impact and benefit in your life, then that's what we're here for. We're here to try and move the dial into positive vibrations in your life and in your home. But I wouldn't say it solves everything, but I would say it makes a considerable difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's just had an amazing difference. And I think it's really important because right now as light workers and with the global event or the virus or whatever words you want to use, we are having to work virtually, which means a lot more technology than I've ever been on. I mean, I really am somebody who just wasn't engaged in that. I wasn't a gamer as a kid. I went outside. I really just had to always be in nature. And here I am on my computer, like 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours a day, especially if I'm producing something. It takes forever and you're on the computer. So right now I have a phone, a computer, light, microphone, my iPad. It's all on in order to produce this show right now live. So it's just been such a gift. So I think it's really, really important right now that the work that you're doing and these little stickers, I mean, they're super powerful, because in order for us to get our messages across, and I know there's a ton of light workers who are doing all their work on Zoom, right? We're doing healing work on Zoom, we're talking, doing readings, we're connecting with people. So being able to maintain a balanced cellular structure. And it's funny what you say about like people not believing in the muscle testing. And I think it goes back to the subtle energies, you know, like for some of us, subtle energy is something we've worked with our whole lives. We understand it. We probably spent most of our life trying to understand it because it was affecting us so much. And we didn't even know why we were emotional or feeling weird or all those different things, or health issues. So it'll be interesting. Don't you think, Tim, it's going to be interesting to see over the next decade how much the understanding and the experiential journey of subtle energy will be across the planet, because I feel like it's going to expand and expand and expand and expand within people really starting to notice these subtle energies.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to get away from the chemical and into the vibrational and the energy and the balance. I mean, we always talk about the balance of the light ring in the atom, because the whole premise of what we're talking about is that the atom, as in every cell in your body, is actually a torus field of light. And that torus field of light spins around a centering 0 point, right? So there's a center point inside the torus field of light, which is like a donut, right, with a hole in the middle. And inside the hole is a still magnetic point. And that still magnetic point holds the electrical current in place, right? So basically everything is what we call magnetoelectric, right? And it's this is the science of the electric universe, is that inside all of our cells and every single thing inside my water bottle is a bunch of atoms that are doing the same thing, spinning around a 0 point in the middle, right? And everything is conscious. Everything, the walls here, everything is basically electricity in motion. Nothing is static or dead or or inanimate or whatever. Everything is in this holographic universe is vibrating with energy, frequency, and vibration, right? So once we step into that understanding, then it's really about understanding how to balance that electrical current and keep the 0 point dialed straight into the middle of the field, because that 0 point is conscious, right? That 0 point is always listening to what we almost feed it, and if we feed it love and compassion and gratitude and all those good things, then we stay in our center. We stay in, and this is the challenge for right now, whatever's happening with the election, whatever's happening with COVID, whatever's happening, like to be able to actually take time for yourself and say, well, actually, how does that really affect me? Because, I can take in all these stories and I can really jumble them around my head and get stressed about them, or I can actually decompress and say, I'm just grateful to be breathing here in a happy body, with friends and so on, and just be in that space. So that's really important right now. And what we're seeing with COVID, for example, is this another thing, very much like the elections, where they're desperately trying to tell us that the only way to save ourselves is through chemicals in a vaccine that somehow does something chemical to your body that helps you in the long run. And the way we get out of all of that is just saying, actually, everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, just like Tesla said a long time ago. And everyone's coming back into that realization. And I've heard of loads of energy devices that, so for example, there's one where you can say a sentence and it picks up all of these things in your voice frequencies that are out of balance, right? So it picks up all the things and all the minerals you're deficient in, and things that meridians that need to have something readjusted and that sort of thing. So it picks up all of these things, and then you choose what you want to play back, press go, and it plays all of these tunes back to your body to realign them. So it's like using sound healing to basically get you back into alignment and balance and everything else. And that speaks to exactly what we're doing with Omnia as well, which is balancing out the radiation field so that your body is then resonating with that new balanced field, right? And this is the energy and the medicine of the future. And too bad for big pharma, right? Because it's free, or at least it's something that we don't have to rely on them for. We can actually develop our own solutions and move away from that shadow, because we all know that doesn't always serve us. Big pharma is not, it might have good intentions to make people well from certain conditions, but it also has very negative intentions, which is to trap people into dependence. And like subscription drugs that people become addicted to, or vaccines that are made mandatory. And I don't really need to go on there, do I? I'm sure everyone knows about that. Otherwise, I'll end up at having a knock on the door. I don't know, but I have to be careful how much I spout off. But you know what I mean. It's like that realization, that awakening, and we're on the awakening call. Is us stepping into this understanding that we are vibrational beings and we respond to everything that we encounter. Whether it be daylight, smelling flowers, walking on a beach. It could be standing behind a bus, inhaling fumes. That's a dissonant effect. It could be walking into lots of strong radiation fields from wireless. That's also a dissonant effect. So we need to be clear about what's resonant, what isn't, and how to bring the body back to balance and resonance vibrationally. It can be done.
Yep, it can. And I have experienced it firsthand, and it's awesome. And I am a proud partner of Tim and Omnia. So if you guys are interested in ordering your own stickers, you can go to, and really looking, you guys have such an incredible website. There's videos and science and all sorts of stuff on there. So I highly recommend looking at it, especially if you're interested in quantum physics, if you're interested in how this all works. It's really amazing. You can go to our website. So it's lisamgunshore.com and just click on partners, and Omnia is right there. And you can use that link and click right through and be able to see everything. We also have it in the show notes as well. And Tim, I'm so glad you were here for day one of our awakening. And, the theme for this awakening is remember who you are. And so I thought, parting words of wisdom, perhaps on that, remembering who we are and where we come from.
Oh, that's a big one. So today I went for a walk around Clapham Common, which is where I live, and just down the road, just literally 150 meters from my front door, is the start of a ley line that I only just found out is actually going across London. And I actually did a little ceremony there that is too long a story to tell right now, but I'm happy to come back at some point and tell it. But the ley line starts at a certain point where there's a kiddies paddling pool built on this ley line. And of course the paddling pool's empty because it's winter, but around the outside is just this wall, and everyone was sitting on the wall, and it was beautiful sunshine. And I was sitting there going, I'm the only one on this wall that knows, me and my friend, because I told him, we're the only ones that know that at the center of that pool starts a ley line that's just shooting energy down there. But we're all sitting around this pool soaking that energy up. And it's just, for me, that was just like a really nice feeling, because I knew that everyone was going to be benefiting from that energy and walking away. And then they would take a step towards remembering more about who they are. But for me, it's about releasing. That's all I can say. Releasing all of the things that I thought I was, and all of the stories that I picked up and, attached myself to, and everything else, and just keep releasing. And then I'll get to the point where I'm like, aha, that's what I'm here for. That's me rambling on about a rambling answer to your question.
Well, I love your ramblings, and I love you, and I'm so grateful you were here today. And yes, you're going to come back and talk about your ley line story. And again, you guys can find all of Omnia's information in the links on our partners page. I believe we have a partners page on oneheartoneearth.net too. I'm being reminded right now. So you can go to oneheartoneearth.net. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Please become a patron of the Light Library. It's only $4.44 a month or $44 a year. And it's over 200 video presentations from all of the summits we've done this year. And honestly, we put a lot of work into our Light Library. It's part of the Ajatakasha Institute, which I have founded as of last month. And this institute is going to be about research of all of these things: quantum physics, epigenetics, the paranormal, parapsychology. It's going to be incredible. But the Light Library is a great way for you guys to share. You can also donate, all of those things. But Tim, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, great to chat.
Yeah, we'll see how things unfold over the next. So the collective said that November 7th was important. They said that November 11th through the 17th is very important. So we'll keep our eyes on the prize here. And again, remember, guys, I sent out a message yesterday. Let go of whatever candidate energy you were holding on to. You don't want those hooks and contracts. Like, let it go. And be in the light. Be in the light. Stay out of the narrative. Be in this narrative. We are live 62 hours today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have 34 pre-recorded presentations. It's almost 100 hours of content to focus on. That's about awakening and remembering who you are. Get out of the narrative that is going on in the world around us and be safe. And I will be back in 4 minutes. Bye, everyone.